My name is Roja Singh and my metric number is 292493. Now I'm going to present about the introduction of the law of women in Parliament Malaysia. According to the law teacher, our parliament consists of three parts, namely Yang di-Pertuan Agong, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. Malaysia is a congressional democracy with a constitutional monarchy, and His Royal Highness is the supreme ruler. The executive power of Parliament is divided into three parts, namely executive, judiciary, and legislation. Women make up half of the human race, so any decision making, be it an individual, family, social, or public level, women should participate in this process. However, instead of being composed of decision making, women realize themselves is unrepresented in politics. Women entering politics face many challenges, including insufficient support of party and family members. Many people believe that Malaysian society is still controlled by male. The status of women has been treated in high position. Most of the parliament are still dominated by male, even though there are many women. The gross ceiling are often tightly in place. Women face a lot of challenges, including limiting the role of women in the society, discrimination toward women, balancing in personal, family, and political life, gaining the support of political party, and getting campaign fund. They may also face invasion, disturbance, and threat.
2.1 is the first objective, which is to know how far position of women in parliament. So the first point is women have the right to vote and participate in parliament, and all state and region have a woman representative in the lower house. As women, this group is no exception and must carry out the responsibility to vote, because women's votes are very valuable in determining the government that will be formed and respect women, in addition to being concerned for them and their families. The second point is women in political leadership be given the authority and opportunities necessary to serve as cabinet members or ministers in the administration. In Sustainable Development Goals, which is SGD 2030, Datuk Zuraida Kamarudin, which is founding president of the Council of Malaysian Women Political Leaders, said that one of the goals is gender equality, whereby women and men must be given equal opportunities in politics, economics, and other fields. So in the 15th general election, which is GA50, last November 19, create some important surprise in the history of the country when the voice of Sabah and Sarawak, for example, is seen to be stronger this time, with the appointment of 7 ministers, including the representative of Gabungan Parti Sarawak GPS, Datuk Sri Fadilah Yusof, who was appointed as Deputy Prime Minister, which is the first time in Malaysian history. Even though the number of women representatives in the government is small, but the analysts and activists are still satisfied. This is because 3 women are trusted to lead important portfolios, namely law, health, and education.
Identify women in parliament system before and after GA15. Recent 15th general election shows there are 127 women candidates out of 945 candidates for 222 parliamentary seats, an increasement from the 14th general election, which there was only 74 women candidates. Despite much lower numbers of women candidates, the women outperform male candidates in a few areas. Women are still notably underrepresented when it comes to being chosen as candidates to run for parliamentary office in Malaysia, despite well-known women politicians such as Nurul Izzah and Rina Harun. Only 32 women were ultimately elected to parliament, or 40% of key seats, despite doing better in obtaining seats for major political parties. Therefore, women need to be more involved in the cabinet and parliament, and it is important how they are elected based on the weight they bring. Men cannot represent women issues regardless of what is established in parliament because of the different perception and spiritual also physical involvement by an individual. As example, the issue of maternity leave that was raised in parliament was successfully realized when its mention in the chamber was approved. It may seem trivial, but in terms of producing quality work, internal and external health needs to be in a good phase. Mandatory leave for civil servants used to be 19 days and maximum of 90 days has been increased in the recent GE 15. As a result of the Work Amendment Bill 2001, which has been passed in the Dewan Rakyat and obtained the support of members of the Dewan Rakyat through a voice note, maternity leave has been increased to 98 days and paternity leave has also been increased from 3 days to 7 days. This issue has been longing in the Dewan Rakyat for a long time despite having a serious issue affecting civil servant and also private sector worker. This has proven that women in parliament or in politics has been upgraded to another level. In addition, the People's Assembly has successfully passed a new clause, which is Clause 13, which prohibits the termination of pregnant women in the either public sector or the government sector. The question of clauses involving women equality is proof that women's involvement in parliament can bring a greater voice for women. Thus being said, women leadership in recent GE15 has been much more appreciated rather than the past election, which less women were involved in any government bodies or decision-maker team. As which has been said that increasing women involvement to 30% for the next election shall bring better exposure for women to have the same and better voice in Malaysia political system.
Hello, my name is Muhammad Hikmi bin Ros and my metric number is 292742. In this part, I'm going to talk about the argument, which is the involvement of women in the parliament sufficient to bring the people's voice? In my first point, the National Women's Policy allocates 30% of parliament seat for the women. This brings more chance for the women in this country to be a policymaker. They can bring out the women issues in the parliament, such as women's rights, gender discrimination, rape, and etc. However, after 15 general elections have been held in this country, the target of 30% women representative in the parliament have been achieved. And second point is the women's MPs are declining. If you can see in the graph below, it shows that the total women's candidates during GE14 to GE15 are declining from 239 to 187 women's candidates. The MPs women numbers also are falling from 33 to 32 MPs from GE14 to GE15. Why are these numbers are falling? Is it because women are being taken lightly? For an example, if we look towards a developed countries such as United Kingdom, there are around 34% of women representative in their parliament, which is around 234 over 650 parliament seats. Why can't our country achieve the same thing?
Last but not least in the topic is challenges faced by women in Malaysia parliaments. First challenge is democratic governance. Women in Malaysia are still faces discrimination in political parties. Political parties in this country often more emphasis on border issues, social and religion, than take a minor attention to interested and right of women participate in whole political process. Second challenge faced by women to involve Malaysia Parliament is social and cultural barrier. Malaysia culture knows women must continue role in carrying household responsibility process. This culture assumes women must stay at home to keep managing family institute. Women must involve in Malaysia Parliament to bring women's right in Parliament because Only women know what women need.
My name is Roja Singh and my matric number is 292493. From the research, several results emerged which show that the number of Malaysian women candidates contesting in the general election is decreasing from GE40 to GE15. The number of women in parliament should be increased. This is because women problems such as sexual harassment and sexism are easy to deal with because women can understand what other women are experiencing better than men. Finally, this research means that not only Malaysian women will benefit, but other women outside Malaysia democracy will also benefit. Because women political marginalization is still a global problem. This study also enriched the knowledge system because it not only shows the situation of women participation in politics in Malaysia, but also put forward some suggestions on how to solve the problem of women underrepresentation. This study would also help politicians and public policy makers to understand the representation of women in Malaysian politics and solve the problem of women underrepresentation through the promulgation of relevant public policy. Women are our mother, therefore it is necessary to give them fair representation in Malaysian politics.